The morning sun cast long shadows across the rocky terrain of the Afghan mountains as Sergeant Sarah Martinez adjusted her rifle scope for the third time in 10 minutes. The 4-year-old Army Ranger had been part of countless missions, but something felt different about this one. The intelligence reports had been vague, mentioning possible enemy activity in the remote valley below, but nothing that seemed to warrant the unease creeping up her spine. Her team of 8 Rangers had been inserted via helicopter at dawn, tasked with conducting reconnaissance and eliminating any threats to the upcoming convoy route. Captain James Rodriguez led the team with his usual calm confidence, while Corporal Mike Thompson kept the mood light with his endless supply of jokes. Staff Sergeant Lisa Chen, their communications specialist, maintained contact with base camp through her encrypted radio. Martinez had earned her place among these elite soldiers through sheer determination and exceptional marksmanship skills. Growing up in a small Texas town, she had learned to shoot with her grandfather's old hunting rifle, spending countless hours perfecting her aim on tin cans and clay pigeons. Her natural talent caught the attention of military recruiters, and she quickly rose through the ranks after enlisting. The team moved carefully through the mountainous terrain, their boots finding purchase on loose rocks and weathered stone. The air was thin at this altitude, making each breath a conscious effort. Martinez scanned the surrounding peaks through her scope, searching for any sign of movement or reflection that might indicate enemy presence. As they reached their designated observation point, overlooking the valley, Captain Rodriguez signaled for the team to spread out and establish a defensive perimeter. The rocky outcropping provided excellent cover and clear sightlines in multiple directions. Martinez positioned herself behind a large boulder, her rifle trained on the eastern approach where the terrain offered the most concealment for potential enemies. Hours passed in relative silence, broken only by the occasional check-in over their radio communications. The sun climbed higher, turning the rocky landscape into a furnace. Sweat beaded on Martinez's forehead as she maintained her vigilant watch, occasionally shifting position to prevent muscle cramps and maintain alertness. Thompson's voice crackled over the radio at approximately 1,400 hours, reporting movement in the valley below. Through her scope, Martinez could see small figures moving between the rocks, but they were too distant to identify as friendly or hostile forces. Captain Rodriguez made the decision to observe and gather intelligence before taking any action. The figures in the valley appeared to be conducting their own reconnaissance, moving with practiced stealth between natural cover points. Martinez counted at least 6 individuals, all carrying what appeared to be military-grade weapons and equipment. Their movements were coordinated and purposeful, suggesting trained combatants rather than local civilians. Chen attempted to establish communication with the unknown group through standard military frequencies, but received no response. The lack of radio communication, combined with their evasive movement patterns, strongly suggested enemy forces operating in the area. Captain Rodriguez quietly passed word to his team to maintain positions and prepare for potential contact. As the afternoon wore on, the situation became increasingly tense. The unknown group had split into smaller units and appeared to be surrounding the Rangers' position. Martinez noticed movement on multiple ridgelines, suggesting a coordinated effort to encircle their observation post. The realization that they might be walking into a carefully planned ambush sent adrenaline coursing through her system. Staff Sergeant Chen reported that her attempts to contact base camp were being met with heavy radio interference, possibly indicating enemy jamming equipment in the area. This development confirmed their worst fears about the nature of their opposition. They were facing a well-equipped and organized enemy force that had been prepared for their arrival. Captain Rodriguez made the difficult decision to maintain their current position rather than attempt to withdraw. Moving across open terrain while potentially surrounded would expose the team to devastating crossfire. Their rocky outcropping provided the best available cover, and their elevated position offered tactical advantages for a defensive engagement. Martinez adjusted her position to cover the most likely avenue of approach, her training taking over as nervous energy transformed into focused concentration. She had been in firefights before, but never in a situation where her team was potentially outnumbered and surrounded. The weight of responsibility for her fellow Rangers' safety pressed heavily on her shoulders. The first shot rang out at 1,547 hours, a sharp crack that echoed off the surrounding peaks. Thompson's voice immediately came over the radio, reporting muzzle flashes from multiple positions on the surrounding ridges. The enemy had revealed their presence and initiated contact with devastating precision. Within seconds, the peaceful mountain afternoon exploded into chaos as automatic weapons fire began raking their position from multiple directions. Martinez could see muzzle flashes from at least 4 different locations, confirming that they were indeed surrounded by a significant enemy force. The distinctive sound of high-powered rifles mixing with machine gun fire created a deadly symphony that filled the mountain air. Captain Rodriguez's voice cut through the noise as he attempted to coordinate their defense. Each ranger had specific sectors of responsibility, and Martinez found herself engaging targets on the eastern ridgeline, where she had observed initial movement. Her first shots were carefully aimed, seeking to eliminate the most immediate threats to her team's survival. The enemy's positioning was expertly chosen, with each sniper nest offering clear fields of fire while remaining partially concealed behind natural rock formations. Martinez realized they were facing opponents with significant tactical knowledge and mountain warfare experience. This was not a random encounter but a carefully orchestrated ambush. As bullets struck the rocks around their position, sending stone fragments flying through the air, Martinez maintained her composure and continued engaging targets methodically. Her grandfather's training in patience and precision served her well as she sought to make every shot count in their desperate situation. The radio crackled with urgent communications as team members called out target positions and ammunition status. Chen continued attempting to establish contact with base camp, but the enemy jamming was proving highly effective. They were truly on their own in this remote mountain position, fighting for their lives against overwhelming odds. The firefight intensified as enemy snipers adjusted their positions to better target the trapped rangers. Martinez could hear the distinctive whistle of bullets passing uncomfortably close to her head, followed by the sharp crack of impact against the rock face behind her. Each shot demonstrated the enemy's skill and determination to eliminate the American forces. Corporal Thompson suddenly cried out in pain, his voice cutting through the battle noise. He had taken a round through his left shoulder, the bullet tearing through muscle and bone before embedding itself in his tactical vest. Blood immediately began seeping through his uniform as Staff Sergeant Chen crawled toward his position under heavy fire to provide medical assistance. Captain Rodriguez assessed their deteriorating situation with grim professionalism. Ammunition was already running low after less than 20 minutes of intense combat, and Thompson's injury reduced their effective fighting strength by 1/8. The enemy snipers were maintaining their positions while gradually adjusting their angles to eliminate the Rangers' protective cover. Martinez continued engaging targets with methodical precision, but for every muzzle flash she neutralized, another seemed to appear from a different location. The enemy was employing classic mountain warfare tactics, using the terrain's natural advantages while maintaining numerical superiority. She began to realize that their opponents might have been planning this ambush for days or even weeks. Chen managed to apply pressure bandages to Thompson's wound while maintaining her position behind cover. Her medical training proved invaluable as she worked to stop the bleeding and prevent shock from setting in. Thompson gritted his teeth and insisted he could still fight, despite the obvious pain and blood loss affecting his shooting accuracy. The enemy's tactical discipline became increasingly apparent as they coordinated their fire to suppress specific positions while allowing others to advance closer. Martinez observed movement on the southern ridge that suggested at least 2 snipers were attempting to flank their position. If successful, this maneuver would eliminate their defensive advantages and expose the entire team to devastating crossfire. Captain Rodriguez made the difficult decision to order a fighting withdrawal to a secondary position, approximately 50 meters to their north. The new location offered better cover from multiple directions but would require the team to cross open ground under enemy observation. Martinez volunteered to provide covering fire during the movement, knowing that her marksmanship skills gave them the best chance of success. As her teammates prepared to move, Martinez focused her attention on the most dangerous enemy positions. Her rifle scope allowed her to identify individual targets among the rocks and shadows, despite the considerable distance and challenging lighting conditions. Each shot required careful calculation of wind speed, distance, and target movement to ensure maximum effectiveness. Thompson struggled to his feet with Chen's assistance, his injured arm hanging limply at his side. The pain medication Chen had administered was beginning to take effect, but his face remained pale from blood loss. Captain Rodriguez supported him on the uninjured side while maintaining his own weapon ready for immediate use. Martinez opened fire with rapid precision, sending carefully aimed rounds toward the enemy positions that posed the greatest threat to her moving teammates. Her shots forced the enemy snipers to seek better cover, temporarily reducing the volume of incoming fire. The distinctive crack of her rifle echoed across the mountainside as she worked to suppress multiple targets simultaneously. The team's movement to the secondary position was executed with military precision despite the challenging circumstances. Each ranger moved quickly between available cover points while Martinez continued providing suppressive fire. Her ammunition supply was dwindling rapidly, but she maintained her rate of fire to ensure her teammates reached safety. Chen's radio suddenly crackled with an incoming transmission from base camp. The enemy jamming had momentarily weakened, allowing a brief communication window. She quickly transmitted their coordinates and situation status, emphasizing their urgent need for immediate extraction or reinforcement. The response was barely audible through heavy static, but base camp acknowledged receiving their distress call. As the team consolidated their position behind a cluster of large boulders, Martinez conducted a quick assessment of their remaining ammunition and equipment. Each ranger had approximately 1 magazine of rifle ammunition remaining, with limited supplies of grenades and other explosives. Their water supplies were also running dangerously low in the intense heat. The enemy appeared to recognize their movement and began adjusting positions accordingly. Martinez could observe muzzle flashes from new locations as the opposing force adapted their tactics to the changing battlefield geometry. The professional nature of their opponents was becoming increasingly evident through their coordinated responses to American movements. Captain Rodriguez gathered his team for a brief tactical discussion, despite the ongoing danger. Speaking in low tones to avoid enemy detection, he outlined their options for continued resistance or attempted breakout. Each course of action carried significant risks, and the injury to Thompson complicated any movement-based strategies they might consider. Martinez suggested using her precision shooting skills to systematically eliminate the enemy snipers one by one, rather than engaging in sustained, suppressive fire. Her marksmanship training and natural talent might allow her to neutralize specific threats more efficiently than traditional squad tactics. The proposal was risky, requiring her to expose herself to enemy fire while taking carefully aimed shots. Chen reported that her medical supplies were nearly exhausted after treating Thompson's wound. Any additional injuries would severely compromise the team's survival chances, making Martinez's precision shooting proposal even more critical to their success. They could not afford to sustain further casualties while maintaining effective resistance. The enemy snipers began employing psychological warfare tactics, occasionally calling out in broken English to taunt the trapped Americans. Their comments revealed detailed knowledge of American military procedures and equipment, suggesting possible training by foreign advisors or previous combat experience against Western forces. As afternoon shadows began lengthening across the mountainside, Martinez realized that darkness might provide both opportunities and additional dangers. Night vision equipment could give either side advantages depending on their respective capabilities and preparation. She began planning for the possibility that this engagement might continue well into the evening hours. Thompson's condition was stabilizing under Chen's care, but his ability to contribute effectively to their defense remained severely compromised. Captain Rodriguez made the difficult decision to position him in the most protected location, while redistributing his ammunition among the remaining effective fighters. Martinez carefully studied the enemy positions through her rifle scope, memorizing locations and identifying the most skilled marksmen among their opponents. Her plan required precise knowledge of each enemy sniper's capabilities and positioning to maximize the effectiveness of her limited remaining ammunition. Every shot would need to count in the desperate battle for survival. The mountain air carried the acrid smell of gunpowder and the metallic taste of spent brass casings. Despite the intensity of combat, Martinez maintained her professional focus while preparing for the most challenging shooting of her military career. The lives of her fellow rangers depended on her ability to eliminate multiple targets with extraordinary precision under extreme combat conditions. Martinez took a deep breath and centered herself behind her rifle scope, drawing upon years of training and natural instincts that had made her one of the finest marksmen in her unit. The weight of her teammates' lives pressed heavily on her shoulders as she began systematically identifying each enemy sniper position. Through careful observation, she had counted 8 distinct muzzle flashes from different locations surrounding their position. Captain Rodriguez gave her the go-ahead signal, understanding that conventional tactics had failed against their well-positioned opponents. Martinez would need to eliminate the enemy snipers one by one, using her superior marksmanship skills to level the playing field. Her teammates would provide minimal suppressive fire to conserve ammunition, while she focused on precision elimination. The first target was positioned approximately 300 meters away on the eastern ridge, partially concealed behind a rocky outcropping. Martinez calculated wind speed and direction, adjusting her scope accordingly, while controlling her breathing to achieve maximum stability. The enemy sniper had been particularly active, sending accurate fire toward Thompson's position throughout the engagement. Martinez squeezed the trigger with practiced smoothness, feeling the familiar recoil as her rifle sent its deadly payload across the mountain valley. Through her scope, she observed the enemy sniper suddenly slump forward, his weapon clattering down the rocky slope. 1 down, 7 remaining. Her teammates maintained strict radio silence to avoid revealing their new tactical approach. The second target had positioned himself behind a cluster of boulders on the southern approach, using a natural gun port between the rocks to engage the American position. This sniper had demonstrated exceptional skill throughout the battle, nearly hitting Chen during her movement to treat Thompson's wound. Martinez shifted her position slightly to achieve a better angle. Her second shot required even greater precision due to the limited target exposure and increased distance. Martinez waited patiently for the enemy sniper to reveal himself for another shot, knowing that patience was often the difference between success and failure in precision shooting. When the opportunity presented itself, her bullet found its mark with devastating accuracy. The remaining enemy snipers began to realize that something had changed in the tactical situation. Their radio chatter increased noticeably as they attempted to coordinate responses to the sudden elimination of 2 of their number. Martinez could hear urgent conversations in what sounded like Pashto, confirming her suspicions about their opponents' identities and training. Target 3 was located on the northwestern ridge, positioned behind a fallen tree that provided excellent concealment, while offering clear fields of fire toward the American position. This sniper had been methodically working to suppress Captain Rodriguez's position, preventing him from effectively coordinating their defense. Martinez knew that eliminating this threat would give her team leader greater tactical flexibility. The shot required Martinez to expose herself more than she preferred, moving to a position where she could see around the natural cover protecting the enemy sniper. Her movement drew immediate attention from the remaining enemies, with several rounds impacting dangerously close to her location. Despite the increased danger, she maintained her composure and delivered another perfectly placed shot. Chen whispered urgently that her radio was receiving intermittent signals from base camp, indicating that rescue helicopters were en route but still at least 30 minutes away. This information provided both hope and additional pressure, as Martinez needed to eliminate the remaining threats before her ammunition ran out, or before the enemy could coordinate a final assault on their weakened position. The fourth enemy sniper had taken position in what appeared to be a natural cave opening on the eastern slope. This location provided exceptional protection, while offering an excellent view of the American defensive position. Martinez realized that this sniper was likely the enemy team leader, based on his superior positioning and the coordinated movements of other enemy forces around his location. Engaging this target required Martinez to use her knowledge of ballistics and ricochet patterns. A direct shot was impossible due to the cave's protective overhang, but she calculated that a carefully placed round could ricochet off the cave's ceiling to reach the hidden sniper. The technique was extremely risky and required perfect execution, but conventional approaches had proven ineffective. Her unconventional shot succeeded beyond her expectations, as the ricocheting bullet not only eliminated the target, but also caused a small rockfall that blocked the cave entrance. The psychological impact on the remaining enemy snipers was immediate and obvious, as their rate of fire decreased significantly while they attempted to understand how their leader had been eliminated. Targets 5 and 6 were positioned close together on the southern ridge, apparently working as a team to coordinate their fire and maximize their effectiveness. Martinez realized that eliminating one might expose the other, allowing her to engage both targets in rapid succession. This approach required her to work faster than her preferred methodical pace, but time was becoming increasingly critical. Her fifth shot eliminated the first sniper of the pair, and as predicted, his partner immediately moved to a more exposed position to assist his fallen comrade. Martinez's follow-up shot was delivered with remarkable speed and accuracy, demonstrating the exceptional skills that had earned her recognition throughout the Ranger community. 2 more threats neutralized in less than 10 seconds. The 7th enemy sniper was positioned on the highest peak overlooking their position, using altitude and distance as primary defensive advantages. This target had been engaging the American position with a heavy sniper rifle, sending devastating rounds that had been steadily degrading their protective cover. Eliminating this threat would significantly reduce the enemy's ability to suppress their position. The extreme range and elevation difference made this shot one of the most challenging of Martinez's career. She had to account for air density variations at different altitudes, crosswind effects across the valley, and the target's partial concealment behind rocky cover. Her calculations required several minutes of careful observation and mental computation before she felt confident in her solution. When Martinez finally took the shot, the bullet's flight time seemed to stretch endlessly across the mountain valley. She maintained her scope picture long enough to observe the impact, confirming that the 7th enemy sniper had been eliminated. The silence from that position was immediately noticeable, as the heavy rifle fire that had been pinning down her team suddenly ceased. The 8th and final enemy sniper had apparently recognized the systematic elimination of his teammates and began attempting to withdraw from his position. Martinez caught sight of movement on the northern slope as the survivor tried to escape while maintaining some semblance of cover. This target was moving, making the shot significantly more difficult than the previous static engagements. Martinez led the moving target appropriately, predicting his route based on the available terrain and cover options. Her final shot was delivered with the same precision that had characterized her previous 7 eliminations, ending the threat that had trapped her team for hours. The sudden silence across the mountainside was almost deafening after the intense combat they had endured. Captain Rodriguez's voice broke the silence as he cautiously confirmed that all enemy fire had ceased. Martinez maintained her vigilant watch through her rifle scope, scanning each previous enemy position to ensure no threats remained. Her 8-shot performance had eliminated an entire enemy sniper team that had held significant tactical advantages throughout the engagement. Chen's radio crackled with clear communications from the approaching rescue helicopters, now only minutes away from their position. The jamming equipment had apparently been eliminated along with its operators, restoring their ability to coordinate with supporting forces. Medical evacuation for Thompson could begin immediately upon the helicopter's arrival. As the sound of approaching rotor blades echoed across the mountain peaks, Martinez finally allowed herself to relax slightly while maintaining security watch. Her extraordinary marksmanship had saved her team from what appeared to be certain death or capture in enemy territory. The elimination of 8 enemy snipers with 8 consecutive shots would become legendary within the Ranger community. Years later, Martinez would receive the Distinguished Service Cross for her actions during what became known as the 8-shot engagement. Her precision shooting under extreme combat conditions had not only saved her team but had also eliminated a significant enemy threat that had been disrupting coalition operations in the region. The incident would be studied in military academies as an example of how individual skill and determination could overcome seemingly impossible tactical situations. Thompson recovered fully from his wound and returned to active duty within 6 months. Captain Rodriguez recommended Martinez for promotion and specialized sniper training, recognizing that her natural talents deserved development at the highest levels of military marksmanship. Chen continued serving as a communications specialist, her medical training having proven invaluable in keeping Thompson alive during the critical hours following his injury. The remote mountain valley where the engagement took place was later secured by coalition forces, who discovered an elaborate enemy observation post that had been monitoring military movements for weeks. The elimination of this threat significantly improved security for future operations in the region, validating the Rangers' original mission objectives despite the unexpected combat they encountered. Martinez's actions that day would inspire countless young soldiers who learned about her story through military training programs. Her demonstration that individual skill and courage could overcome overwhelming odds became a cornerstone example of Ranger values and military excellence. The 8 enemy snipers who had trapped her team were eliminated through precision, patience, and unwavering determination under the most challenging combat conditions imaginable.